Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Since Eric is not here to read the minutes, has everybody reviewed them?
Yes.
Yeah. So I waive a reading of the minutes and ask people to approve it.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as submitted.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Since that's everyone, we'll take that on. Thank you.
Since she doesn't know who's here, should we say who's here for the minute?
Yes,
Oh, for the recording?
Yeah.
right. So as we go around the table, could everybody say their name so she has their voice?
Janelle Smith-James.
Richard Smith.
Candace Brooks. Tony Phillips.
Joel Hawkins.
Mark Hastings. And Peter Zach is joining us as a guest. Good idea. Thanks. Thanks, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, budget review. The only expenses for the month of February were our clerical fees, and we're filing for the permits for 2025 for the herbicide. That's $400. Pond and Lake does that. That was the only expenses. What doesn't show up on these sheets is we did, if you remember, last November, December, we got approval for capital improvements for the capital, for the permitting and hydraulics and engineering for the dam, for the water diversion.
Mm-hmm.
That was 19,000 in total, I think, or 19,000 and change, I think 1950 or something. In any case, this month we spent $8,184 on the hydrology study of the 9,300 budgeted. And on the engineering support for the permit, we spent $3,124. Come on in.
Oh, you here. This is Morgan.
Hi, Morgan.
Morgan is a sophomore at West High School, and he's interested in doing some volunteer work, potentially around the migration of alewives and dam.
Great,
And
great,
so I invited you to join us. Cool.
super. Have a
Have a
seat.
seat.
You can have a seat as well. You staying? For sure.
Do you want me to drop?
All are welcome.
No, I'll just hang with you.
Okay. We'll get to you towards the end of the agenda, okay? Thank you. So I just wanted you to be aware those expenditures were made. Since those were pre-approved when we approved the budget, I didn't change anything. I didn't, reach out to you for approval for that. Are there any questions on the expenditures or on the budget?
So those expenditures, I don't see them here under period.
No, they're capital
Oh,
This is-
okay,
this is-
okay, capital.
expense.
Thank you.
Yeah, they don't give us, I didn't see a capital sheet come through.
Okay.
So,
A capital, not my thing. Okay, I get
Okay.
that. I get that.
So update on the status of the notice of violation. As you know, we have to have a pre-meeting with fisheries to approve the dam operation and maintenance manual draft and the hydrology study to show why we need to divert water and why and how we're going to do it safely. This has to do with the opening and closing of the sluice gate so that when it's open, we don't harm fish. And so we have a permit to alewives, yes. DEEP has received those. They haven't responded as yet because apparently there are new water diversion stream flow standards that are coming into play in 2028, and they're trying to understand how our little diversion fits into those regulations. So they're going to get back to us. As near as I can tell from looking at the regulations, what they require you to do is to monitor how much water you divert. So we sort of do that anyhow, and that when we open the gate, when we close it, we know how far we've opened it, we know how long it's open, so we could estimate how many gallons were sent. I think that's what it is. Our stream is a class 1 stream, which means free flowing, which basically says the main focus of a stream designated as such is protecting ecological health, which actually is all consistent with what the things that we've talked about before. So when we hear back from DEEP, we'll see how it goes.
So Mark, do you know if they're looking at 2028 regulations, this is 2025,
Right.
is it where we do something today, we're grandfathered, or if we do something today, in 2028, they come out with new regulations, we have to modify or enhance to come up to those regulations? Do you know?
I don't know.
Why would they care about 2028?
I think since they're going to give us a perpetual permit, I think they're anticipating that in 2028, we're going to have to do something more. So rather than either figure out how to grandfather us or ask us to come into compliance, they want to wrap it all in and just figure out how we meet that, these regulations.
But
That, I've got like a, paragraph email on this, so I don't have too
Yeah.
much more.
because if we have to come up to regulations, then potentially that requires budget. But since we're under some stipulations to come in within a time frame, does that clock basically stop because we already submitted something?
We haven't really submitted a permit yet.
So is the clock still ticking?
The clock's still ticking, but the clock's as of June. And
There's
since
been no ramifications yet.
so far there's been no ramifications,
Okay.
and when DEEP has delayed things, they seem to have been willing to work with us as
Okay.
to. I'm not terribly worried about the deadline.
Okay.
And I think this is just trying to be inclusive. Also, these are like relatively new regulations, so I don't think they know how they work.
Okay.
They've got and it's not, we're dealing with the enforcement arm, for lack of a better term,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to go out and talk to another section that has to do of DEEP, which has to do with stream flows. So it's a interdepartmental thing, as near
Okay.
as I can tell.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, I wish I knew more, but that's all I've been told so far. We have an invasive plant workshop, which I think is set up for June 11th.
11.
So I thought, Tony, can you talk to that a minute, how that's going to go? Or
Sure. So 2 people will be coming here. Well, Janelle was kind enough, I think she's made the initial.
Yeah, you can mark it up as it goes around the table.
Okay. She often does these things for us, so that's great. And she's good with words. So 2 people will be coming here on June 11th at our meeting from the Office of Aquatic Invasive Species, from the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station.
well,
Yeah,
for us
Because you're
to take a look.
reporting out, so
Oh,
you can
okay.
mark it up later.
And it'll be Greg Bugby, which is a name we know, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
from the
Uh-huh.
he did a
Yep.
study for us of the
Yeah.
whole lake.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it'll be Greg and Summer Wiegman.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
met Summer at our,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep,
I don't have
and-
her title for that.
excuse me, okay,
Oh, I can find it.
yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
I had it, and it was in the email somewhere. She's, okay, but I didn't,
She didn't have a signature line,
okay, all right.
but we can come back to it.
Okay, we'll come back to that. And they'll cover 4 topics: how aquatic invasive species spread. That's the first one. Integrated aquatic plant management. Second. The third one is the impact and spread of hydrilla in Connecticut, because that's a big thing now. We don't have that in our lake yet, but it will be good for them to, hopefully we never do, but it's in the Connecticut River. But hopefully, it'll be good to know what they say. And then the fourth thing they'll do is identifying common aquatic invaders. And they'll actually come with samples. So they ask for some tables because we'll put out the different samples so that we can all see, what does, pondweed look like and what does milfoil look like, et cetera.
Didn't we have milfoil previously, before we started
We
treating
still
it?
do.
Yes,
Oh, we still
Yeah,
do.
still
we
do.
still do, but a lot
A
less.
lot less,
Fanwort
but you
and
did.
milfoil are
Yeah.
the two big ones.
What's the first one?
Fanwort and milfoil.
Okay.
Those are the ones we have. But they're greatly reduced.
Mhm.
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but
Well, we treated 40 acres initially, down to 4. So that gives you a feel,
Significant.
significant change.
so that's pretty much it. So, after we all
Take a look
board
at that.
okays the, flyer, between now and we'll put it on the
Yeah, I'll do the
town's
same.
website and various other locations around town.
Yeah.
Is that good enough? Teresa?
And
Yeah,
I'll also
thank you.
send it to the 3 associations in the lake.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, that'd be good.
Because I know, West Shores always has a meeting, right, every month?
Yeah,
And
Well-
then Oak Tree has theirs in May,
okay.
so it will be before this.
Beautiful.
I'll get it posted on the Rogers Lake West Shores website.
Good.
Okay,
A dozen different places.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
Email it to the board, because I can print it out and post it in the boathouse.
yeah, I
Oh,
will.
that'd be great.
Yep,
Yeah.
because, I'll ask, I think Katie's still on, I'll ask Katie, to post it to the town site, and then there'll be a link over from Rogers Lake Authority site, and then Martha can include it in her write-up when it gets a little bit closer, her weekly message, and then I'll reach out to the Lime Line Man and, ask him to, include it in there, and, Tony, you'll get it out on the Lime.
Lime, and I'll
Town
put it at the
Hall.
Lime Library and the Lime Town Hall.
Okay,
I'll put it on the Lime Town
Okay.
website. Yeah.
perfect.
Should we post it at the boat launch?
Well, we're really not supposed to put things up there, are
The
we?
state
Yeah,
will get
we-
mad at us.
Yeah, no, that's not a
Yeah.
public board, that's.
If you want to get approval, go ahead and try to post it.
You know what? Doesn't Deep have an office down? Do they have a bulletin board? I've never walked in there.
That's
Sure.
true. I've never walked in either.
I've been
Can't
in
go
there.
in anymore down there. They locked the door. You have to go by appointment.
I've got somebody I can call down there.
Yes.
Posting it behind a locked door is going to get you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Last time I had to drop something off, I guess somebody beat me
I'll
at the
put it at
door.
the post office.
yeah.
Okay,
And coffee.
yeah,
That's all.
Yeah.
yeah. They're really good about that. Okay,
Okay, thank you. We talked last time about development of a rapid response plan. I'm thinking what I'd like to do is have a small subgroup of this group to meet for like a workshop just to figure out how we want to advance this. I'm happy to host that at my house. So whoever, I don't know, I haven't set up a date yet, but in the next couple of weeks, I'll send around a couple of dates, and whoever wants to come, we'll go that way if that works.
mhm.
Who would be interested, do you think?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Yeah, I know you're willing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, question.
You gonna do it evenings?
'Cause you're
Yeah,
working, right?
yeah.
No, I just.
No, I
like to, but
understand.
no.
No, I
You work every
understand.
night?
Yes,
Okay.
Not weekends though, right?
no.
Well, we could do it on a Saturday, if you guys would be willing to do that.
Could be.
Yeah, I'm happy to join if I don't have anything going on. So, question.
If we end up having a quorum,
We'll
Well,
have
so-
to have a,
yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna, based on the freedom, the FOI that
yeah,
we went
yeah, we
to,
can't have all of it.
right. So,
well, if you're having it on a Saturday, it's like, it's not a regatta and I can't come.
Okay,
so it's definitely you and Joel,
right.
And then do you need an additional person?
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, I would think at least 3 to sort of
Yeah.
sort this out.
If I am not doing anything that Saturday, then you can count me in. If it's not going to be a Saturday and it's during the week, then I'm usually free.
All right.
You pick the date and I'll let you know.
Yeah.
It could be the three of you.
Or you can be on it. Go ahead.
No, you do it.
Okay.
Okay.
I did type up some notes just to stimulate discussion.
Oh, good.
Premature to hand those.
Not at all. That would be wonderful.
And this is just, as I say, your draft to stimulate discussion. It's nothing,
Okay.
nothing formal. There's this,
Okay. No, if there was any changes you thought you should make to it.
Oh, I will pass it around.
So, no change,
No, not for me.
and you
May as
can
well
post
take a
it
look.
to the vote. The vote.
Boathouse, I can put it in the boathouse.
Go ahead, it's done.
Okay. Do you want me to take this copy?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'll still send it out. I'll still send it out.
this includes some of what we talked about, like the hands-on course. As you see, it breaks it into 4 categories. One, prevention. 2, to be prepared for an immediate response if something is observed, and it really does need to be immediate. And the second would be the near-term follow-up. After that, the near-term follow-up at these, and then 4 longer term. So this can be refined, and I think as people who are interested read more, like the various reports and plans that are out there, that'll stimulate filling this in as an outline, and then perhaps and having our own version.
Well, thank you. It's a good start.
Really?
You know, along those lines of monitoring, and I sent around that article about Garner Lake. That got the,
Yeah.
Yep, I saw that.
yeah, and it reminded me, I was talking to Dennis Overfield. He actually sent me a picture or an article about a portable unit that does the same sort of thing. So I was going to look into that. Maybe that's a long shot and take a grant or something to get it.
Right. So we don't
When
have
you say a portable unit, you
anybody
mean
who works.
washing?
Yeah, it's a washing, or it's a compressed air like the one that they were using at Garner
Mhm.
Lake. The thing I don't know about washing is
Where's it go?
where's it go, right? You need a retention tank to,
Yeah.
if you wash, right? Because you don't want to wash it into
The lake.
back in the lake. That doesn't help. So
I wonder how receptive Deep would be to at doing anything like that at the boat launch, when they won't even let us hang a flyer.
well, you know, I think there's been a change there. I think if we approach them with something, they might. I don't know. It can't hurt to ask.
Right.
So you're
Right.
suggesting asking Deep to put some equipment there to allow people to wash their boats?
Or allow us to man something there to wash people's
Yeah.
boats.
So would that mean an employee there to?
Yeah, possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Right.
we got to.
It would be part of this discussion, and I highly doubt Deep would allow anything like
In the past, we had an employee there. The last 2 years, we haven't. But before then, we did.
But yeah, they couldn't.
Yeah.
You know,
couldn't
all they
take
could
the
do
job.
is tell people not
Right.
to have over 135 horsepower.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, they
So
couldn't
does
do too
this
much.
only concern motorized vessels?
No, I mean, if
No.
somebody's putting in any kind of craft, you want to clean.
that. If you have a kayak or a jet ski, it could still have some of these invasive weeds on it.
So we're not controlling anything that launches out
control
of Haynes
nothing.
Park?
Nothing.
Well, the only thing that, what launch? Oh, you mean your boats?
No, I don't mean my boats at all.
Do people
I
come
don't have
there?
There's no control out of Haynes Park.
But,
There's no control out of the state boat launch.
You're not supposed to launch at Haynes Park.
well, people
If you have
can
a
bring a
kayak.
kayak
There's that
or
kayak
Oh,
that
yeah,
assists.
a sub.
Yeah, that's.
And you can actually, it is
Sunfish.
actually legal to come in the west gate and bring something
Yeah.
in that driveway, and
Used to be a boat launch.
Yeah.
I mean, that, Dick is right.
Yeah,
There's nothing to stop somebody from,
correct,
Well, it used to be a boat launch there years
from
ago.
launching a motorized craft from that
Right.
spot.
I think what we can consider is, the two extremes. One is sort of what we're doing now, which is nothing. The other extreme is we do everything, which is probably impractical. But between those, what can we focus on where there'd be greatest risk? So if we know boats are coming from all over on one day from all sorts of lakes in the state, like a fishing tournament, maybe that would be focused monitoring. That's what some other towns.
yeah, we can talk about that and have some suggestions, and then,
So are we talking about microscopic stuff or,
More likely, and here's where we'll need input, but more likely, pieces the size of your finger
yeah,
that come off a trailer, if they get established.
they're on a prop,
right.
wheel.
So in terms of what Joel's saying about not trying to do everything, but trying to catch the low-hanging fruit,
Yeah.
I think that vessels with lots of complicated surfaces where they're likely to catch stuff are more likely
yeah.
to be a problem than something like a kayak. But
Oh,
you
for
can
sure.
probably
absolutely.
look at it and
Yeah.
say,
Absolutely.
there's nothing on that.
Yeah.
So let's try and focus on the worst offenders, which would be like a boat with a prop.
The state boat launch is
That's the biggest
the big
challenge.
that's the biggie.
Mm-hmm.
That has the most boats and
Yeah.
most parts.
Also, I think there are places where it would be easy to focus if we have a very receptive audience. So I'm thinking of crews. Those are simple boats on props and all that. But I should think people launching crew boats would be very happy to notice and be, if they see us break us up and going on. Especially if they're going to, I assume the crew boats here go to other places, right? Other lakes.
Yep, our boats go to other places and then boats from other places come and visit us.
Yeah.
I don't want to open a can of worms here.
But it could be a receptive audience where they say, yeah, this is important, rather than if you try to get every fisherman or, every boater who comes into the state zone.
But I think it's not the most,
That's
That's where you're gonna
effective
catch
use of
the
your
most-
time and resources.
problems.
Right.
Because as you said in the beginning of your statement, those boats are pretty one surface and you can look at it and tell that there's nothing visible on it. Most people make sure that it's pretty clean before they race anyway, right?
They want to be fast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I think so the majority of the boats on the lake are from residents on the lake. And then you've got people who come in and launch at the boat launch and spend the day, or they do a fishing tournament. I think those are the ones that we should focus our energy on, and what can we do there? Because I think those are the ones that pose the most threat.
The people presenting at these seminars, which are online and from around the state, they essentially say hydrilla is all over the state.
It's in Hamburg Cove.
It's not if, it's when it comes in.
Yep.
If it gets established, if you get to that point where there was a little bit, but now it's like healthy and thriving, they make statements that I don't think are too wild when they say that all your property values are halved because you can't use a boat, you can't go swimming because it's pea soup out there. I mean, these are the extremes that we want to make sure we avoid. And I think it is good to be at least slightly honest about potential risks.
So on your list here, you mentioned expanded lake monitoring, and your third bullet is students or scouts. And to your point, maybe we could raise public awareness, or I said I'd post something in the boathouse, so we could make, because those are like tens of people who are out on the lake all the time. And if we just made everybody aware, if you see this, take a picture of it and send it to Mark Hastings.
Yeah.
Location.
Yeah.
And if we say these 40 are an issue and you need a degree in biology to figure it out, you won't get anything. But if you say these 3, especially this one, watch for, you kind of like wanted posters, should be all done. And I mentioned students and scouts, because, maybe they'd like a side project, high school student biology class.
Are these species in there? They could help draft
you could start, just so Morgan understands, we've already understood that some of these species are already taken root in Gardner Lake, which is just sort of north of us in Salem.
Yes.
So you could start, what's happened in Gardner Lake and how can we protect our lake?
And I don't know if you have business projects or things like that, or extra county projects. Those interested in ecology and biology and the lake might enjoy doing that.
Is there somebody you think could be a mentor for that?
Maybe. Yeah, I'd have some interest in that, but and others probably. And what make that all the more interesting is we have connections to people at Yale, connections to people at DAP, so this would be a chance to meet experts. Our lay members are not necessarily experts at, well, if any of us are biologists, but we work with people who are biologists.
Well, I think that's good. I think this is a start. Well, I'll set up that meeting and we'll go forward from there, try to get something in place. Yeah, because I think you're right. It's a question of when. Yeah, and I think it's really helpful that we're going to have this workshop, because the more eyes we have on the lake looking for things, the better off we are. Very good. Thank you. Any other comments there, or?
No.
Just one comment too. I noticed you have included lawn fertilizer and things like that. I mean, I know weeds are an issue. And there's other meetings I've been to that talk about the water quality, and I just think one of the bigger threats is the watershed is just from the homes and lawns surrounding the lake, and I think unless you make that awareness level up there, they're not chained into maybe not putting a whole bag down on the lawn rather than just a half a bag or whatever. I mean, they don't really see anything.
Yeah, I mean, education.
The yearly newsletter says that, but.
But the new,
Correct.
like Scotch fertilizer, the 4-step, they don't even have phosphorus anymore. There's no middle number.
Yeah, but there's other.
But if you have
Nitrogen.
a commercial fertilizing company, then that's a different story.
We've,
Lawn fertilizer, whether it's just not phosphorus. That's the one.
it's nitrogen.
Nitrogen
Well,
and phosphorus we have a problem with.
Yeah.
we, I don't know if you've had a chance to catch up on, if you read the prior minutes, but we've been looking at water quality and testing the tributaries.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's so much that it's coming from farms or upstream.
Yeah.
It's right around the lake. That's what's going into the lake, right there. That's the development that we have for the most part. You go up the other roads, it's very sparse
Yeah.
development.
Yeah, we are getting high readings from
down Grassy Hill.
from whatever feeds Lord's Meadow up there.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out what that is as well.
Yeah.
But
I haven't heard any of the results.
yeah, we're still working on that. We take more samples.
Following up on that briefly, at the last meeting, we were planning to have a coffee with David Post. Is that on our list to talk about?
Yes, I emailed him, and right off the top of my head, he said he was going to be up this way sometime this spring. So let me track that down as to when that was going to be exactly.
That's the Yale professor.
The Alewife guy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the one who did
Yeah.
the presentation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got his response and it was in the future, so I didn't. It wasn't immediate, so I went, yep, he'll tell me when he's coming up, but I'll let you know when.
He was sort of inviting us to gently, to invite him.
Yeah, no, he's will definitely. He said he would be up when, soon after the Owls start running again, he'll be up one time with Andrew to check what's going on there.
And he counts them at the dam.
Pardon?
He counts them at the dam.
Yeah, the,
counter.
Yale Counts, has actually an automated counter, but they monitor the fish ladder at our dam at Rogers Lake. And Deep has 2 fish ladders downstream that they monitor, and they work with Yale,
That's
you know, on the counts. Pardon?
You can access that from the nature preserve on Post Road, right?
Exactly, yes. Yeah, and the other one's on private property effectively. It's the old mill house on Still Lane.
Yeah, okay.
But they are the ones, we work with them when we need to, you know, during the run, if we do need to open the gate, that's when we talk to them to make sure we're not harming their activities, or want to work in conjunction with them to make sure that we operate safely.
Yep.
So, you know, I think along those lines, Morgan, I think if you're really interested in alewives, we'd be happy to introduce you to our people, the people at Yale, and also the people at Deep Fisheries.
Yeah,
Because
that wasn't necessarily my like sole interest.
Oh,
I was
okay.
interested in, like doing something in the general like field of this.
okay,
Yeah.
all right,
Sort of volunteer work in this.
okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll have to think about that. Because right now, like, the whole operation of the dam is pretty ad hoc, in that we know who's monitoring it from time to time, but unless there's a big rainfall, there's not much going on. It's just tracking the rainfall. And but let me think about that and see how we could include you.
But you guys do you check it like every other day, or?
Yeah, we go back and we monitor. There's a gauge down at the dam,
Yep.
and Dennis Overfield has a gauge, and I have a gauge. So
At your home?
and at my home. So rather than, if, like, Dennis checks every day and monitors it and records the lake level, what the rainfall has been, what the rainfall forecast is. And we have a whole spreadsheet that we send to Deep every month as to what's happened in the lake. And I'm happy to share that with you.
Like data in itself.
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge spreadsheet. It's been
And rainfall.
And you've been doing this for how long?
we have all of last year, and we did it the year before, a portion of the year before.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I mean, we've, it's helpful to try to understand. I've done some data analysis with it to try to figure out, so when it rains, how much is the lake really going to go up? And I'm not a good enough mathematician to do regressions to figure out, because there's lags. If it's been dry for a long time, if it rains a bunch, the lake doesn't go up as much as if the ground's saturated.
Well, I know if it rains really hard, that the parking lot will flood enough that it will go up to my ankle.
There you go. That's a good test.
Doing that on Monday, isn't it?
Yeah,
We're getting 1 to 2 inches.
which is, yeah.
down.
So, yeah, so we monitor. Dennis goes by and checks the dam and his gauge, and if Dennis is away, I usually take over and check the gauge and measure what the rainfall has been, and what's coming. And that's how we know if right now we're about 2-3 of a foot over the spillway. So, if it's going to go up another, well, speaking inches, another 5-6 inches, then we know we potentially have a problem. So we try to back into that calculation to figure out if there's going to be so much rain that we're going to start flooding people. But it's not an exact science yet. We're getting better.
In the hydrology study, that's still ongoing?
That's been that's been done. I received it and I don't understand it. He gave me this spreadsheet with all these numbers, and so I wrote him back and said, "Wait, what does this mean?" Yes, it's been done, but I can't give you these numbers prove that the, high levels of the water keep the water table high in the surrounding areas. I believe that's true, but
There is no,
So he
you
has
have to
to put
prove
it,
it.
he has
so
to
to
put it
speak.
in layman's terms?
yes, I've asked him to put it in layman's terms, because right now it's on.
Well, it sounds like all you got was a spreadsheet, so I'm thinking what you really want is like data visualization, some charts, graphs,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, no, for sure.
analysis.
Well, the people we have to prove it to are deep, and maybe they understand it just by reading the spreadsheets, but I didn't, and I would ask for it in words. So
Yeah.
I have asked for it in words.
Yeah.
To understand just what it means. Okay. Shall we move on to new business in terms of lake events? We previously approved the 5 events are shown there. And candidates, I think, wanted to review what else is happening on the lake this summer.
So I'm not sure what 5 events you are.
The Old Lyme High School rowing.
Yeah.
Just the rowing.
Okay, so that's, yep. So you probably became aware of them because we had to put in deep permits for all of those.
Right.
Yeah.
So I brought some printouts for you guys. Thank you. And the short message is nothing really has changed. It's the same as always. The first chart shows the 4 regattas we plan to have here on Rogers Lake. Probably the 5th event that you were made aware of was Learn to Row Day, which is the first Saturday in June.
I
So
think 416.
these don't match up.
Yeah, there's one difference.
Okay,
no,
I don't
there's-
know what you have.
So on the agenda, it had 4/9.
Yep.
4/16, which is not on here.
Okay.
4/19, 4/23, and 4/30. So is this, it says April 20, should that be April 30th?
That probably should be the 30th. Let me just make sure that I made a mistake there.
I thought I took these off of the permits, but
Right, but the permits go in, you're correct, that the Middletown race should be a 30.
Okay,
The permits go in before we finalize our race schedule.
so there's potentially not one on the 16th then?
Let me look, April 16th.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing on the
Okay.
16th.
No, okay.
okay.
So the next page shows what OLRA will be doing. And none of this requires deep permitting. This is just our participants doing their thing. On the left-hand side in yellow, you see all the adult programs. And most of that you see March through December in the mornings is unsupervised sculling. I think that your interest in this is primarily to question whether if there's a safety issue and whether you want to deploy the patrol boat. And so we generally perceive that in the early mornings, it's pretty quiet out there and there's not any particular safety issue there. In the evenings from 6 to 8, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have adults sleeping and then also a Learn to Row program. The Learn to Row program is supervised, so they will be supervised by us.
So do you do anything on Tuesdays and Thursdays? 'Cause that's when we have the boat.
Right.
there.
Sounds like we should switch.
So that's why we should talk. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, we tell our membership there's no planned activities. People are permitted to come and row independently on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and sometimes they do.
So is that a shift from last year?
It is. But if it makes more sense for us to do Monday, Wednesdays, we do Fridays anyhow.
Yeah. After Memorial Day,
Our
we do
normal
Friday.
shift is to have Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday
Mhm.
to have the patrol boat.
Okay.
So if it makes more sense to have people out there on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday,
So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they're supervised.
okay.
So I think you should stick to your Tuesday, Thursday schedule.
Okay,
And then on the right-hand side, we have all of the junior activities. And in the springtime, right now, we have Lime Old Lyme High School crew on weekdays. And they get on the water around 2 and they get off around 5, and they're supervised. So that shouldn't be anything that you should worry about. And then we start our junior Learn to Row program in June, and that meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday boardings, 8 to 10. And they also are supervised. So I don't think that should necessarily be something of a concern to you. And then I guess I should just say that if the juniors are on the water, there's always a launch with them.
Mhm.
okay,
So, and then the juniors start a fall program in September that goes through the end of October in the afternoon. So these guys are always in the afternoon because they have to go to school.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But the blue side of the chart, those people are always supervised. So I don't think that should be a particular concern to you.
Okay,
Candace, for the adult sweeping, it says supervised occasionally.
Right, so we have hired a coach for that.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know exactly what his availability is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm suspecting that in the middle of summer, he's going to head up to Vermont and coach up there, so he may be scarce. But those women do like to have a launch with them, and we're trying to provide it to the best of our ability.
But it's your recommendation that we still continue doing Tuesdays and Thursdays?
I'm going to get back to I'll talk to Christy about their schedule,
okay.
okay?
Yeah, that would be good, because I was gonna talk about that next, actually, we're about to post the job on, the town, and I'll put it on Indeed for one more patrol position.
So
And,
the back page here just describes the same program I just talked to you about, but shows the exact dates that they start and finish. And
Okay,
so
great.
this tabular is kind of hard to weed through, which is why I created it in a graphic way,
Yeah,
because I thought that was easier to see. And that's all I got.
but we have people that two guys that are sort of signed up for shifts now, but if we're gonna move them, I need to give them as much advance notice as possible, because they have, it'll change what their availability is.
Yep, okay.
Okay,
I will get back in touch with you on that.
great. I do need someone else to help interview, when we get another patrol person. Is
I can
anybody,
help.
you can do that? Okay. So I'll screen them and you can
Mhm.
go next? Okay. I think that's all I had. Is there anything else?
So, I know Morgan wanted to speak, because it's not clear to me exactly what you want to do, and I want to be able to help you if we can, but I need to understand what you're looking for.
I was looking for this volunteer work, like playing in this field of sciences, because I want to go to college for science. Seemed more interesting than any other volunteer work I could do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was interested in trying out.
And particularly around the alewives or the weeds or,
Any volunteer work.
Either, sounds
Yeah.
like either.
because,
Gathering geese eggs?
so, there's sophomore.
Yeah, so
We have to do some water sampling,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And there's 5 tributaries that feed this lake, so there's water sampling. So, we do sampling. And then, I don't think you can go out on the boat because of your age. But, if there's gonna be, and then you're in school. I'm just thinking in my head.
Yeah, yeah. Last year, we also did, hand
Hand
pulling.
pulling.
I don't know.
That's really
About invasive species. This is online.
Is that hydrilla?
Well, it lists basically all of the various species, and it's worth reading through. And some are super important and some less so. But if you're looking for backgrounds to something that you could read and just be familiar with. Right. And or take a picture of that.
We don't have any,
Is that on our website or something?
Yes,
the boat.
it's online. I don't know if
that
it's on our
goes out
website. That could be
before
nice
we
to
do any
put
kind
on
of
there.
training.
The agricultural
Right.
certification has that.
You can't go out on there because it's not in
But that PDF,
21, so
I
that would
Googled it
apply.
and found it.
But,
It would be good if we could make it all the easier to
we don't
find.
do anything beforehand.
No, Pond and Lake comes out and does the
Yeah.
survey, and then they go out and do the application.
So do they do any kind of, because I've never been out on that airboat, but do they have, like, do you have like a little powwow with them beforehand?
Yeah. I mean, the trouble is you're in school, right?
Right,
What are your
but-
hours
For summer volunteer work.
for summer? Okay. Oh,
Oh, did Yale, they didn't get their funding cut yet, right?
not that I know of.
So Yale, couldn't we put them in touch with Yale? Because they come out at night and clip the fins and gather the fish and do the DNA.
Yeah, I think,
So you might, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I like fishing too, so that's,
And you have a boat.
yeah, well, eventually, working on it.
It's a work in
Probably not sure if it's close.
Yeah, so we might want to put him in touch with Bugby. Because doesn't he lead the people that come? And
no,
do the
Andrew
testing?
McDonald. does
Andrew
for the-
McDonald. They do the testing if their funding hasn't been cut.
All right,
So Mark, do you need?
And they're here
Morgan's
every
email
week
address?
at night in the summer.
that's perfect.
I know.
I haven't summer yet.
And you like to stay up late because that's your age.
What, actually, that would be the most interesting.
That
to
would
do.
be totally cool.
And to get to talk to these people. Let
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
can you send me Morgan's email or,
I can, tell you.
okay,
My email or like my.
The one that you have in summer, what
the
was?
one you look at.
Yes.
Or if I give you my phone number, that would probably work too.
Do you
That's
need his
fine.
mother's permission?
Yeah, I was,
I used to give you my email, that's stuff.
Bring her in. Just call her. On the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in the parking lot.
I need your permission to
Can you
give
come
them
in?
my email. Oh, can you
Can
come
come
in,
in?
actually? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so-
think, I mean,
that
actually, I
would be
hadn't thought
really
of that.
cool
If
for
you're
you.
off for the
Yeah.
summer, if you could meet with them when they came up, that would be
Mhm.
an enormous
And-
education.
I think that because they're in academia, that they would absolutely be happy to have you participate in some of their
Right.
sessions.
Of course, they may like try to encourage you to go to their program when you graduate.
They have a huge endowment, so if you want to go to Yale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done all right usually.
Yeah.
To approve that, it's,
So what's your email address?
B-U-E-R,
B-U-E-R?
G-E-R, no, G-E,
Uh-huh.
M-B-R,
Hold it.
at gmail.com,
B-U-E-R-G-E-M-B-R?
M-B-R. Yeah.
Yeah, something like member.
Yeah, I don't know how the M-B-R got in there.
Okay.
Did you create it?
I did, I don't remember why.
He couldn't
I
get
couldn't
the one
do
he wanted.
MTV.
It was taken.
Okay.
All right. I will,
Did you explain to the mom about the Yale thing?
what,
She knows.
Yale does the fish studies in the Alewife County here. They're on the lake all summer. They come out a couple times a week to monitor the fish ladder in the spring, they monitor and then they monitor water quality in the summer. They're out a couple times in the summer. So I can contact, people we work with at Yale to see if, Morgan could, ride along. So we'll see what we can do.
Because they do DNA, they clip the fins, and they do DNA testing, and they can see if that parent fish has come back and if it's staying in the lake. It's very interesting. Yeah,
The lake has some alewives that were like stuck here,
yeah.
and so they just stay. And then there's other ones go out to the Long Island Sound and they come back to spawn.
Yeah, actually, the presentation that was done by Yale, by David Post,
Yeah.
is on the RLA website,
Oh,
at the town. So you can take a look at that and see what they do.
it goes into,
Nice to meet you.
it goes into detail, that's why. Read it.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Well, hopefully it's
We don't know,
Go
you
to
know.
the, Old Line, Town of Old Line site, and then go at the top and go down to Rogers Lake,
So under boards and commissions.
yes, boards.
You'll find RL, Rogers Lake Authority.
and then look last month.
Like town, board commission.
Yep. And then find Rogers Lake Authority,
Yeah, it's down there
Yep,
a lot before.
and then go to last month.
last month.
Yeah.
Where's the,
February.
I don't see it.
Well, no, go to, it's under presentations.
Yeah,
Oh, meeting presentations, yeah.
Yeah. and then that will have it, February.
You'll see studies, you'll see a mussel study and things like that. It should be up there. Erica said she posted it, so. All right.
Yep, all right. So
Oh.
February. One.
No, it would be,
It's not the minutes, it's the presentation. It would be the second Wednesday of February.
I'm here.
can I see your phone for a second?
February 12th.
That's it.
Yeah, here it is. Oh, yeah? It doesn't change much. Yeah. Now we have seniors running around.
All the Cub Scouts grew up.
Yes. Well, does anybody have any other comments or?
I had a question about the eggs, the geese egg syrup program.
Adeline, the egg.
Yes.
It'll be done by next meeting.
I thought I read something where, well, the town, or maybe within our town.
I think
was-
Park and Rec budgeted.
Park and Rec has budgeted money.
Park and
Yeah.
Rec budgeted about $1,300 for it, but the most recent news I heard was that, it's overseen by the USDA. And
Right.
the USDA has been instructed not to engage in any new contracts.
Yeah, I heard USDA, I assume if they're gonna do it, I mean, they would, where do you pick to look for the geese? I mean,
It's
here,
about time, right?
it wouldn't just be.
Thanks for coming, Morgan.
Thanks, Morgan. Take care. Have a good night. We'll get back to you.
Yeah, we hope this works
Okay.
out.
Mark, didn't you look up and get schools to do this?
Yes, we have approval as the Rogers Lake Authority to do them. There's strings attached to that in that, it's a little more formal process.
That's fine.
Okay? Yeah, actually, now that I think about
There
it,
a form to fill out?
there is at the end of the year.
Okay.
I just need to know how many eggs you addled every day.
All right, so you have to keep count.
Huh?
You have to keep count then.
Just keep count
Yeah.
on the, and tell me the days.
Is it addling or oiling? I thought oiling was
It's gonna get taken away this time.
Well, we're oiling them.
oiling them. We're oiling them.
Because they're coming back. I mean, I'm
All
seeing
the
them.
team members of the RLA covered.
This time, and that's not, they're getting ready.
I'll go back and check. I think we can have designated people to
Okay.
assist us.
All right.
I mean, what was hanging me up before is the FDA wanted everybody to have permission and everything for access
Oh, for the island?
for the islands. and,
The USDA.
the USDA, I'm sorry.
I can get
Yeah.
permission for Big Dick and Blueberry.
Great.
I
I
can,
mean, just,
I can call Crompton and ask him about Beckett.
that'd be, if you could do that, that would be
I
helpful.
don't know, we know someone on Picnic though, right?
Oh, I know the guy at Picnic, yeah.
And do we know anyone at Whale?
I don't know anybody at Whale. I don't know if I've been able to, who owns Whale.
I don't know.
They're all
anyone.
private.
They're all private.
Are geese on whale?
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Well,
I was
I
hoping
shouldn't
not.
say it. Last year, there were 4 out of 5.
Uh-huh.
Which one didn't they have?
Can't think of the name of the one by Haynes Park.
Beckett, the first one?
The other one. Haynes Park, right off the beach.
And what is that one called?
That's Beckett.
I can't think of the name right now.
It's Beckett.
Huh? No, it's
I
not
can't
Beckett.
keep track.
Doesn't it
Tell you
begin with
that.
a B?
Huh?
Doesn't it begin with a B? Crompton, Roger Crompton owns it. So they came
Yeah,
to this house.
came to this house, that's right.
No, I can't think of it. It's not Beckett.
All right, well, I'll make sure I get it right when I ask him.
All right. I would suggest you go ahead and do, will you help? Are you willing to?
I'll
All
help.
right.
I just,
Call Peter. And,
I need somebody younger, because
Rob will
climbing on the boat at the islands is brutal.
Dick,
okay.
Dick, Rob will.
yeah,
Like that, good, yeah, you know,
Get
Yeah, I
to
all right, good.
and I'm sure, what's his name, the road,
Macaulay, Chris Macaulay?
yeah, he'll probably want to do, he helped me last year.
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm not sure. I'll put him through the oven.
Okay.
Anyway,
It was very good last year.
I'm not authorized to speak for him.
Fine.
He was at the meetings last year, he wanted to go.
No,
glad to
like,
get-
just like 2 months ago,
No.
speaking up about the geese, is that the guy?
No,
No.
that was,
That was the
um,
guy whose place you took.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll keep,
Tom.
I'll keep a record of where they are on the island and the amounts.
Yeah,
That's not a
perfect.
problem.
okay.
So what confuses me is that there's several organizations doing this, because you guys do it pretty regularly, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then Park and Rec has all kinds of intentions to do it. They wrote it into a plan, but they've never really done this. I don't think they have a history of doing this at all.
No,
And my primary question is whether they're aware of what you're doing, because it feels a little bit like right hand, left hand,
I have
the duplication.
talked to Park, I have emailed, I haven't called them, but I have emailed on 3 occasions, Parks and Rec with offers of help on this and a few other things, and have never heard back from them. So I said, we're willing to help, or let us know, or whatever.
Of course, had the correct email addresses, I assume.
And we don't have to
Yeah, I did it through the
money
town.
You did it through, wow.
I did it through the town,
Yeah.
so,
Wow.
Was that to Bob or Don?
I think I sent the initial ones, because it was the Haynes Park subcommittee that was doing it,
And that would be,
Sarah,
Sarah,
and Sarah has never responded. So
okay.
it also is, since they were going to a contractor and all of that, I thought it was better to let them do their thing, and since we have what we do is in place, I just let it go.
Okay.
Um,
Do we have any idea what kind of an impact it makes? How bad would it be if you guys didn't do it?
I think it would be really bad,
I think it'd be a lot worse.
based on what I see in my backyard. Last year was much better.
No, I mean, it's,
It just grows because they're residents.
Exactly.
They're not flying out.
They don't go anywhere.
I mean, along those lines, we offered to help them. I got a request for what they're gonna be up with when they want to dredge Haynes Park.
That's so far in,
No, that's okay.
it's so far in the future.
It
Yeah,
is.
well, I just,
If it even happens, I doubt it's
well,
going
I told them, you've got, you're gonna need a
Pond
water
muscle.
quality report that's gonna have to be redone, because they wanna know what happens with all you do with the dredging. This is all with deep in terms of permits. You also have an endangered species that's located at Haynes Park in terms of the mussels. So you gotta say how you're gonna handle saving all those before you dredge it all. And you have the clams, East Asian
Asian
clams that are an invasive species that are all through that sand and all that muck as well. So they were gonna wanna know what you do with the dredging, so you don't take that invasive species and send
Bring
it
it
someplace
elsewhere.
else.
Mhm.
So.
I agree with you that it's, I mean, and from a financial perspective, they had thrown out a number of 300,000. I think that's ridiculously low.
It is, it
And
is.
in the context of the other things that are happening in town, I really think the appetite for a multi-million-dollar project to dredge Haynes Park is really not going to go forward anytime soon.
I
Yeah,
agree with you.
So I've kind of laid low on it, but the thing that's frustrating is that their plan is contingent upon dredging. So they won't do anything downstream of their plan until the dredging happens. So in some respects, I feel like they need to
They need to have Plan B.
come to reality about the dredging.
Mm.
Or find a very generous donor.
Yeah, but even with that, you
Mhm.
still have to get through
Oh,
all
yeah.
the permitting
Still the permitting
and
stuff,
the
yeah.
paperwork, which,
Yes.
So I don't want to derail this too much, particularly in my first meeting, but I think their dream is to make Haynes Park into like a beach swimming kind of area. And if you look at like old postcards in the Historical Society, maybe some of you know more than I do.
Mhm.
I mean, there used to be this hotel there and
Yeah,
a
where
diving
Kelsey's is.
board, and it was like a real swimming park.
Yeah,
But I don't think it's realistic to try and turn the clock back and go to those days. I think that a more economical approach would be to think about what we can do with what we have.
Right.
And anyway, but it's unlikely. Moving the needle at Park and Rec is, as used to be, pretty difficult.
yeah, I mean, I'm happy that we're happy to help, but it seems like we were better off just doing what we do and
Okay.
not waiting for them.
Because in terms of communication, also, they have indicated that they're intending to treat the grass with some sort of chemical that's going to repel geese.
Don't they have
They
to
say you
get
do
a
a
permit
breeding
for
system.
that?
And so I just asked, you know, have you talked to Rogers Lake about this? Have you talked to Deep about this?
They need a permit. Because that
Definitely need a
runoff,
Yeah.
yeah, they need a permit, and I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't have to go through inland wetlands.
Inland Wetlands got their hands full these days.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, actually, I think it does, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I'd have to know what they're applying. To see what it comes under in terms of state regulations.
Let me see if I can pause through their minutes
Okay.
and see if there's any documentation.
I mean, I'm happy to try to reach out to them and do more, but
But it seems like you've gotten sort of dead end.
yeah, I just don't, I don't get any kinds of response, so it seems like they don't, whatever we're offering, they're not interested in. So I haven't gone any farther, but,
Interesting. Okay.
unless I'm talking to the wrong people, I mean, but I thought
It
Sarah was,
sounds like, yeah, I mean, of the people there, I would think Sarah would be the most responsive.
I thought so, would have thought so too.
Actually, I had a conversation last night because the tree commission was talking to us. And they said, well, we'd like to put some trees in Haynes Park, but, you know, we think that they've taken down 3 or 4 and they'd like to replace them, but, you know, where do we put them and what's the plan? I was like, there is no plan. And so I said, well, you should talk to Sarah Van Vliet because she's probably more communicative than anyone else. So maybe I misspoke in that respect. But you're not the only one.
Okay. So let me know what you do.
I see. Before next meeting, I'll be out there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and if you need any more help, let us know.
Ours part's fine.
Is your boat in there already?
Pardon?
Is your boat in yet?
No, we'll be going in next weekend.
Okay.
We'll be going in,
So
so-
that's right.
Huh?
That's right.
How do I gonna go and do the
I know, I'm just saying, I think it's early.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe you could bring them in and we can paint them.
If you like them, I don't know how good are they. They say they're good, but I don't know, just the thought of it, I wouldn't know the price of it.
Eggs are good. I think we
You
should
could
mark,
feed a family of four.
we should market some special
Special
markets like.
Size of normal like a chicken.
Yeah, they are
For
big.
your hand. One of those eggs.
All right, well, on that note, are there any other comments?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.